three rule keys in forest data management. One is good decision requires good information. Your entire decision making, it is basically dependent on the information. Again, I have not used the word data here because for me, there is something as fact, there is something as data, then there is something as information, which could help us to synthesize something as called knowledge and then wisdom. So good information is needed. So when I say good information, it means data and proper processing of that data so that it can be converted into information are indispensable and integral part of entire planning, monitoring, reviewing, whether you talk at local level, you talk at national level, you talk at global level, you talk of any of the sectors, social, economic, environment, cultural, and you can keep on listing these things. So this is the first rule, to best of my understanding, that for better, good forest data management, you need good decisions which are based on good information. The second rule, to best of my understanding, is facts and opinion must be mutually supporting. It means, by processing something, I can say, oh, this is happening, that is happening, this is not good, that is not good. That is all fine, but it is being supported or further validating the facts? That is something very important. It can be treated from different views. If you look at same data from different perspectives, that is something very important. You should be able to see your data from different perspectives, but you shouldn't misuse your data, both accidentally and intentionally. Many a times people do it, while either they don't know it, and that is a mishandling of data or poor knowledge about data, or they try to manipulate it. So as a good researcher, as a good professional, you should always look at that your facts and opinion, they all should go hand in hand, and they should be correctly represented by the data which you are using. And the final is information management and policy making and implementation are mutually dependent. Many a times we are very good at information generation. You can generate wonderful web portals, you can generate wonderful reports, atlases, maps, graphs, whatnot, which could probably help in policy making, again, which could help in policy making. But more so, the implementation is again very important, and implementation needs better formulation, better monitoring, better assessment, better review, so that entire all phases of policy making and policy implementation could be looked at. So this is something equally important, that your information management and policy making should have a wonderful balance with your implementation. So unless you do this, whatsoever you are generating, that is okay, that is all good kind of thing, but that is not something which will be solving the problem. So herein, scientific community comes into picture. As a forest manager, people might have many questions, which are generally called as management questions. Therein, you need information, you need data which has special context and which has non-special context. When I say special context, I need to know things with respect to location, position, orientation, and many of the other quantitative parameters which come over the space. The simplest are perimeter, area, and volume, but you can always think of many other things. And these are essentially looked as these quantitative parameters or qualitative parameters are looked at as non-spatial data. So you need both spatial and non-spatial data. And to me, these become as a research questions. How can I provide this special or non-special need with much more concrete way? And herein, over the period, people have seen geospatial tools, geomatics, geoinformatics, Or in much more simplest word, remote sensing, GIS, GPS, these provide some kind of relevant tools and information for the forest managers. So and these things can help us. So, if you are a researcher and a professional, you should always look at, what management is looking for. If you know what management is looking for, that can help you devise your own protocols to do something. And then you can prioritize the tools and provide the relevant information and solution. This has come very aptly when people are talking about SFM, sustainable forest management. And I hope we all know, the definition of sustainable here and the necessity of that. So generally, if you look at, forest management, what do you need? You need information on biogeographical zones. You need information on climate, precipitation, temperature. You need information on ecosystem and its components, its density, type, flora, fauna, land use. You need information on edaphic factors like soil type, texture, maybe terrain, different components of terrain. You also need information on socio-economic environment, how society is interacting with this environment, or how economic policies or benefits or ways outs are interacting with this environment. And finally, resource utilization pattern. So you just don't need biotic or biotic factors. You need a whole range of human beings and its interaction with the environment which you are talking about. And fortunately, remote sensing, GIS, and GPS helps us to understand these all kind of things. And so thus people say that geospatial tools are something very appropriate for forest management. Let us look at state of affairs in the country. If you look at forest cover map, this was National Remote Sensing Agency. Now it is called as National Remote Sensing Center, a group of scientists headed by Professor P.S. Roy. In the given time period of 6 months, they were able to make forest cover map for the entire country. And people who understand computers, maps, cartographies, thematic disciplines, projections, interpretations, field visit, you can imagine, the kind of challenges they had at that point of time. And I'm talking about early 80s. Within the given time frame of 6 months, they were able to prepare such a wonderful database, which was not accepted, which was challenged, which was questioned. And it went to both lower and upper house to actually look at if this is correct or not. And the reason was very simple. This database said that we have somewhere 14 to 16% of forest cover, whereas our books were saying we have 40% plus forest cover. So this was the first attempt to create database of a national importance using remote sensing. Prior to this, no national effort was made. And because of this, repetitive doubts, clarifications, questions, they carried out the same exercise with the data set of 1980s. And they came with almost similar results, though they took the seasonal variation into account and many of the other aspects, but still the outcome was almost similar. So this, somewhere triggered that we should use technology for a resource which is very important. So then forest density was defined as closed forest, open forest, degraded forest, or mangroves. Subsequently, Forest Survey of India, which works within Ministry of Environment and Forest, and there was a gentleman, Mr. Pandey. He went to Rome. He tried looking at, how FAO is using this. We had a wonderful example from India at the behest of Dr. Roy and his team. And then they decided, let us have an institution, dedicated institution named as Forest Survey of India, with headquarters at Dehradun and representation in almost all state capitals. And you and I should be proud to say that probably we are the only country, and if you try counting, you might get another 1 or 2 countries, which is able to prepare a biennial report on forest cover. It all started with 1 million, 1 is to 250,000, and now with 1 is to 50,000 kind of thing. And earlier there was dense forest, open forest. Now there is very dense forest, moderate dense forest, open forest, and mangrove as a classification scheme. This document or this data is excellent when you talk about national forest cover, extraordinary when you talk about state forest cover, very, very good when you are talking about district level, and at places it is equally good at taluk scale, and in very rare spaces at village level as well. Simultaneously, aerial photographs were also talked about to prepare forest cover map at 1 is to 50,000 scale. FSI thought that we'll be able to do it after every 10 years, at least for the reserve forest areas. Then forest stock maps came into picture, which is one of the prerequisites of forest working plan at 15,000 scale and 25,000 scale. They thought we'll be able to do it after every 10 years. But unfortunately, aerial photography couldn't take that kind of pace as satellite remote sensing came into picture. So we were not able to do it every 10 years, but for certain pockets, there are attempts which are being done. Same way, working plan, most of the divisions, they are trying to do it at 10 years, but at times it even goes for 20 years. Then you have, a World Bank supported kind of things, which were there till the aid was available. So these kind of, databases are said to be as legacy database, which are somewhat very, very important. So to put everything in right direction, we need technology, we need people, and we need data. And fortunately, country is having excellent technology. ISRO gets all credit for that, for having these satellites and providing satellite pictures. Entire youth with good understanding of IT is able to explore, such type of data sets. And India is known among best of the countries when IT comes into picture. Youth is there with 60% population. Data is there, could be, at times non-special, but if all these kind of things could converge into special information, any kind of resource management is very convenient, and very specifically forest resource management.